Welcome to section 26 of the training. In this section, we'll be discussing the daily market recap. Along with your training, you are given a special username and password that is exclusively yours to access the daily market recap that is posted for you each trading day. You go to the link given to you in the members section of our website and you enter your username. Then you enter the special password given to you and you click on the Submit button. Area, which is password protected. Above the recaps, you'll see the members message section. Here's where we post important information that you should know. This includes recent changes or additions to our method. If you don't check this members area regularly, then you may be unaware of important update issues. Since students' email addresses and phone numbers change, this is the only reliable way to get this information to the students, but it's your responsibility to check for it here. Each recap will show 2 days of signals. The recap is posted sometime after the market closes for that trading day. There's really no set time for the market recap posting, but it is posted for each day unless the website server is down for some reason. On the recap, the signals will start with either a B or an S for buy or sell. Then the time of the signal is indicated. This time will be based on the central time zone for each signal posted, since that's the time zone that FutureSource uses. Signals that have an asterisk at the beginning indicate that that trade signal was also apparently confirmed by our 3-minute chart. This is very useful information that may help in deciding whether to take or not take the trade. The comments to the right side of the recap signal will indicate what the market condition was or what type of signal it was. Here in this example, indicated by the black arrow, the buy signal at 8:32 was choppy. That may not necessarily mean that the signal should not be taken, since the signal has an asterisk, meaning that it was probably confirmed by our 3-minute chart. Other notations are there for letting you know what type of trade the signal was. H&S for head and shoulders, cup and handles is loaded by C&H, the first and second against the trend, the JOT for jump on trend, and if it was an elbow type signal, etc. These notations are there to help you confirm that you not only saw the trade and the signal, but that you also knew the type and the important conditions and factors about that signal that you'd need to know before deciding whether to take it or not take it. Well, now that you know how to access and read the recap, let's discuss its purpose and how to maximize its true benefit. So that you understand the function and the purpose of the recap fully, let's discuss why the recap is posted. The student must understand the intent and the purpose of the daily market recap in order to get the proper benefit from it. The daily recap is intended to be a guide for the student so that they can learn to identify the trade signals and interpret them properly according to the rules and the guidelines of the method. The recap does not attempt to show any hypothetical profit or loss result for any of the trade signals listed, and there are several reasons why this is not done. The methodology follows a strict set of rules, but also incorporates certain flexible guidelines. The student is correct as long as the rules and the guidelines are followed, but may produce different results from the recap according to the student's own personal level of aggressiveness in their trading. Did the student use the trailing stop method to exit, or did they use the 2-point exit strategy? Did the student take the trade on the 55th second of the confirming candle, or did they wait for possibly a better fill price on a subsequent candle? Was the signal confirmed by the 3-minute chart? And if so, would the student have taken it for 1 point if the signal was choppy? No two traders can always get the same entry fill price or exit fill price. Recaps cannot account for this in publishing profit and loss results. The only way for the recap to show accurate signal results is to have each student research each signal and then determine for themselves if he or she would have taken that trade, and then how would they have individually have entered and exited that trade. Let's take an actual recap signal and demonstrate how you, the student, should determine what the outcome of this trade could have been for you. Here, the arrow shows a buy signal. It's a second against the trend at 9:37. We see the asterisk, so we know it was probably confirmed by the 3-minute chart. Well, now let's do some chart research on this signal to see how you might have handled it. Here, on our 1-minute portion of this chart, we see the 9:37 buy signal. It's a second against the trend. Now let's see what the positive and the negative aspects of this signal were. Well, first we see that the signal has more than 2 points of volatility. And that means that if we decide to take this signal, we can go for at least 2 points of profit. A second against the trend often has more potential than 2 points, so you may decide to use a trailing stop here. Look at the DS at about 9:12 and notice how it went well below the 20 on the DS scale on the left. That shows that the market is oversold and should possibly have a tendency to go long from this aspect. Finally, we see the 3-minute confirmation of the signal with the DS and MACD pointing nicely upward, and the green candle that we want from price. The only thing we might like to see here is an end of the downtrend indication on the MACD, which we didn't get. For a second against the trend type signal, an end of the trend indication on the MACD isn't necessary, but it just would offer a little more confidence if it were there. Well, if we enter the trade on the 55th second of our 9:37 candle, we might get a fill price of 10.31. However, we have no guarantee that we wouldn't also get a fill at the top of that wick, maybe getting a bad fill at 10.31.75. You may choose at this point to hold off entering the trade and see what the confirming candle closes at, and then try to get that fill, or maybe even better. Let's go forward a few minutes. If we had entered here on the confirming candle and been filled at the 10.31 close, we see that price has moved upward, but not enough to give us a 2-point profit. But what if we had used the limit order entry technique that we learned earlier? Here, at about 9:39, we may have been given a great fill of 1030.75 using that technique. Now, since price has hit 1032.75 twice, we may have been filled and are already out of the trade with our 2-point profit target. If price decides to go short from this point and we entered at 9:37 with that fill of 10.31, well, we may have experienced a loss here. Price actually went further upward, and some students using a trailing stop may have made some nice additional profits that the 2-point trader missed. So you see, it would be impossible for any hypothetical recap to effectively determine how this or any other trade would have worked for any actual trader. It depends on the trader and their ability to size up the signal and determine how they personally would handle it based on the methodology knowledge and their own experience. The best way to learn and master the method is to go over each signal, find it on your charts, and then determine if and how you would trade it. Keep accurate records of each outcome, and then you can fine-tune your trading strategy based on the signals and strategies that work best for you. Sometimes human errors occur on the recap and a signal may be inadvertently omitted. Since there are usually so many signals, missing one or entering one incorrectly can and really does occur. If you find a recap entry that you think might be an error, please email it to us so we can check it out. Use the recap for its intended purpose as a training aid and learning guide to help you identify signals and rate their takeability based on what you would have done. Most traders are much better off in the long run just taking 1 or 2 signals per day and then quitting. That way, trading can be very enjoyable and not become a chore. If you have a question or two about a recap signal, please schedule an online support session. We can't effectively deal with recap questions by email. Online support is the most effective way to learn and get the clearest possible explanation to your questions. Well, this concludes section 26 of our training. If any part of this section wasn't totally clear to you, then we suggest that you review this section again. And if any questions still remain, please write them down and we can go over those questions in the online portion of your training. And if you thoroughly understood this section, then you can proceed to section 27.